Donald J. Trump calling out both sides in the Israeli-Iran conflict. He was a little bit miffed about them still bombing each other after the ceasefire. Again, if you don't like the F word, tune out for a couple seconds, but this is the raw interview from El Presidente Donald J. Trump.
With Israel, you know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
You gotta love Donald J. Again, there's been no president ever in our history, not even close, that says it directly, succinctly, in the way it is. Donald J. Trump. You might not like his policies. You might not like his politics. You might not even like him. But you got to respect a man who tells it like it is. He was frustrated by Iran and Iraq, and he was frustrated by the dumb questions from the reporters he gets so often. You could see Trump had had enough of it when he told him, neither one of them know what the F they're doing. Do you understand? And he turns and walks away. That's why we love Donald J. Cynthia Gonzalez, the vice mayor of the little town in Cudahy, down in the South Bay, right around the Torrance, Lomita area, she is encouraging MS-13 and gang members to ice. Could this be true? Here's Vice Mayor Gonzalez. Oops, we thought we had Vice Mayor Gonzalez.
Not for nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you.
We'll get more into this. And Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez of Cudahy. Unbelievable. This story is even more crazier, if you can bet on that, than the first two. Handcuffed woman in the back of a car, in the back of a cop car, winds up stealing the car and getting away. Good day, LA report.
Be trying to find the woman who allegedly stole a patrol vehicle and then ditched it in the Hollywood Hills.
That suspect was apparently handcuffed the entire time while all this happened. Gigi Gracia joins us.
How in the hell? After you're handcuffed in the back of the car, you steal it? And then once you get away, and they're pursuing, there was a pursuit, and she got out on foot and outran the cops. Man, the stories get more bizarre by the second. One of the alleged co-conspirators in this Palm Springs fertility clinic bombing dies in federal custody. Here's the ABC7 report.
Charged with helping the Palm Springs fertility clinic bomber has died into federal custody. The Bureau of Prisons says that Daniel Park was found unresponsive this morning at the LA Metropolitan Detention Center. How he died is not being released. He was facing federal charges for conspiring with the suspected bomber, Guy Bartkus, who was killed in the attack last month. Park was accused of providing Bartkus with chemicals to...
So, it appears that we will not have to have no trials or anything on this particular one, because both the bomber and the man allegedly who supplied the chemicals is now at room temperature. Jeff Van Wegelen is going to give you a little update. We'll get into this later on in the week, but, and I'm going to respectfully disagree. We're going to have some more of a lot of things that were said from Jeff and Chuck E. Cheese up there trying to misconstrue comments. I'm still going to stand on it. The $10 billion budget cut service levels to Sheriff Chad Bianco and the Riverside County Sheriff's Department as you pass the budget today with the dollar amounts. But here's Jeff Van Wegelen, CEO of Riverside County. We thought. Here we go.
I am pleased to share that our Board of Supervisors has unanimously adopted the county budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Your engagement and voice have been crucial in shaping this budget.
This is all subject to debate. We'll get into that maybe a little bit today, but we'll cover it probably more later on in the week. Lots more interesting stuff. News. Dude in Rancho C rolled into the Target and changed clothes and walked out. Cops didn't take too kindly to that. Beaumont, I think it's a vagrant, had one. You know how your gang mailboxes? He had one in the shopping cart. I kid you not. Some of the bizarre stuff we go through. That and much, much more in the local scene and national scene, California scene. Run, Kamala, run. Maybe she's going to do it. Let's hope so. That funky slide guitar music comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 or close to it. Evil Lippy Network, Rumble X, YouTube, and the Roy Bleckert channel. All sorts of, you got, again, I'm so impressed with Donald J. Trump. Just his attitude and honesty, and no holes barred. Doesn't give a rip, not politically correct, tells it exactly as he sees it, as it is, as he perceives it. Again, we've never had a president, not even close. And everybody wants transparency and honesty and tell us what's going on. And then they bitch, moan, and gripe when they hear it. Like I say, whether you love Donald J. Trump, hate Donald J. Trump, disagree 111% with his politics, support his politics 111%, or anywhere in between. You've never had a dude step up to the plate and just let it rip. I just love that. The best scene, again, the best scene on that is where he is at, he says, they are both effed up. Do you understand? And he turns and walks away and heads over to the helicopter. I mean, like, again. And no president, any other president would have pulled that. Holy hell would have blown up. But Trump gets away with it because that's his persona. And you know what? I would rather have somebody like this that told you that you know where he stands. You don't have to guess, when he walks into the helicopter, is he saying 27 different things to everybody else to placate them? Or if he sees somebody else that has a differing opinion, well, he's giving them a whole different story, like a Bill Clinton master at that. Jerry Brown was darn good at it. I think the master two-face guy was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton could go to a crowd of evil white hillbillies there in Little Rock, Arkansas, and throw down most conservative, deport the illegals. We're going to bomb, baby bomb. We're going to cut the budget. We're going to do this. And he could drive around the block to the hood and tell everybody there, oh, yeah, we're going to give you everything. Welfare, food stamps, homes, health care, whole thing. He could reverse course that quick. Most politicians have that in their DNA. But Trump doesn't. Trump almost has none of that. Everybody oh, we didn't know what he was going to deport people when he got into office. You didn't listen. During the campaign, during Trump 1.0, during his first presidency, during the campaign of Trump 2.0, and now you see the results. He meant what he said. No nukes for Iran. We are going to deport illegals. Well, in Trump 2.0, he inherited 20, 30, 40, 10 gazillion from the evil Joe Biden. So there was man, he's got easy pickings this role. It's Katie bar the door. I mean, and he's deported less, like they said, than Clinton or W. Bush or Barack Obama, and even Joe Biden. Now, of course, he's got another 3.5 or so years to go. So we'll see how that all shakes out. He may, after his tenure ends January 20th, 2029, he may be the biggest deporter in chief like Barack Obama is right now. Some debate on that. We really don't know how under Operation Wetback, and that's what it was called back then in the 50s, that Eisenhower did. And I believe, I'll have to check, but I think Roosevelt, Franklin Delano, during his tenure during the 30s and 40s, deported a lot. There were estimates upwards of 10 million of Eisenhower back in the 50s. From a logistics standpoint, that's kind of difficult to swallow, but he deported a lot. It's probably between Eisenhower and Obama, the biggest ones that have deported under their presidency. But Trump has 3.5 more years to go, and he seems to be just cranking up on this deal. But again, I cannot be more impressed with just the pure raw honesty from Donald J. You get no holes barred, doesn't give a quarter, doesn't ask for one. He says, this is it. You ask me a question, and no president, I can guarantee you, especially in Trump 2.0, well, you're going through COVID. He was on almost every day for almost a year. this presidency, almost every day, so he's finally tapered back here some in the last couple of weeks. But I mean, Monday through Friday, in the first 4 or 5 months of his administration, Monday through Friday, we had at least one, if not multiple press conferences answering for the press's questions every day. And in the first couple of months, it was Saturdays and most Sundays. No president has been as accessible to the people, as accessible to the press, and has been more candid with the American people. And I, for one, am extremely glad to be living in these times and witnessing, especially Trump 2.0. Trump 1.0 had its challenges, as they say. And, for a lot of reasons, and that's all water under the bridge. Maybe our term limits after we've experienced Trump 2.0, maybe we don't need term limits. Maybe just, especially for the presidency, no consecutive terms. You could maybe go to a 5 or 6 years. I would say 5 years. Maybe we go to a 5-year, one term, no term limits, just no consecutive terms. So you serve 5 years. Hey, you can sit out for 5. You can come back in 5. And if you're young, well, Trump probably wouldn't do it. Well, I don't know. You never underestimate Donald J. But no, if you're a young guy like Clinton, Clinton could have ran 96, well, let's say 95 to 2000. Let's just make it the 5-year deal. Sit out, maybe come back in 2005. We have George W. Bush. And then, your president, per se, and have it where he cannot raise, during his term of presidency, he cannot raise any money. So that gives him whatever he collects during the campaign, fine. During that 5 years, no campaign contributions, because you're sitting out of term, so you got 5 more years if you want to run again, to raise however much you think you need, or can, or have. So we're living in some very interesting times, to say the least. But again, I am so happy to be living in this time period and being able to witness. I never thought I'd witness anything like this. You get jaded with politicians, from your sewer cleaning commissioner to the president of the United States. But you have these whole, they're most of the time, they're double talking and whatnot. Or they're, when they go back and behind closed doors or have the secret meetings and all this other stuff or whatever. But I've said this, and there's been very few politicians that I've said this about. But Trump is the one of the very few that when I go to sleep at night, I don't worry that he's hosing us under the workbench, isn't doing what he said he was going to do, because he has a clear track record, and maybe a new track record, as the great Tom Carnegie, the old announcer at the Indianapolis 500 said a new track record. And I know I can't even do that anywhere close to the way Carnegie did it. But again, we've never seen a guy like this. Ever, ever, ever. And it's not unexpected in Trump's case, but every day it's a pleasant surprise. And I hope more politicians will take note as we move forward. Because if we had more politicians that said what they mean and mean what they said, and more importantly, did what they said they were going to do, we'd have a lot less trouble in River City, as the old saying goes. Want to get to this. We rolled it in the intro. Cynthia Gonzalez, vice mayor, which means the number 2, of Cudahy, California. Very familiar with Cudahy. In fact, I think Jack Guerrero wasn't he he was on the city council mayor of Cudahy, ran for state controller, I believe, and then 3rd district supervisor in Riverside County. Just recently moved out here a couple years ago from Cudahy. But it's right there down by the Lake Ascot Park in Gardena, Torrance. Actually, it's pretty close to the beach. Right down there in the South Bay, Lameda, Torrance, all those little racy towns where a lot of my buds are from in the racing industry. But this is how much South Bay, LA, all that area was very blue collar, white, single family homes. Is pretty much changed like a lot of Southern California. And I don't know, you can say for the better. Because when you hear this broad, holy cow. And is she advocating to ICE? Let's start from the beginning of the clip. Bill Malusian of Fox News got a hold of. I don't know where it came from. But as they say, here we go.
For nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles.
I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. Now, I guess, hey, if you want honesty, and I said that, I mean, at least she's honest about what she's doing. But is this the attitude you want, Cudahy? Maybe it is.
Angeles, 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you.
So she's saying whatever Florence MS-13 gang. And she's basically calling them a bunch of pussycats. Because they're not going after the ICE agents who are enforcing the laws of the United States of America, as they were sworn to do and as they are directed by El Presidente Donald J. Trump. And he handed the responsibility of the logistics of this off to border czar Tom Homan and Pam Bondi, U.S. Attorney General, and our California attorney, U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley, and Kristi Noem of Homeland Security. And this clown over here is trying to make the case. What is she making the case that the gang members start attacking ICE? Here's more from Cynthia Gonzalez, Vice Mayor of Cudahy, California.
Everyone else who's not about the gang life, that's out there protesting and speaking up, we're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our turf, protecting our people.
Protecting our turf, protecting our people. Framing this as a gang reference, protecting our turf means if you come into my area in gangese, you come into my area, you're going to be on ICE, or as in killed, shot, AK-47, or whatever. She knows exactly what she's saying. We'll get to her credentials later. But this fool is basically virtue signaling or calling out the gangs in Cudahy, saying, hey, you guys are not going after ICE. You should be gunning them down in your area. That's the way I'm interpreting the way she's framing it. That's my opinion of it. With the language and the virtue signaling she's doing, this is extremely dangerous. More from Cynthia Gonzalez, Vice Mayor of Cudahy, California.
And like, where you at? Bien calladitos, todos los chulitos. I'm like, dude, they're running amok all up on your streets.
Again, she's calling them out. They're running amok all on your streets. Your streets, the Florence, MS-13, whatever gang, own the streets in Cudahy, California. How do you think this broad got into office? I bet you there were a lot of brown paper sacks dropped off on her porch when she was running for office. I could be about as certain of that as I am of anything. On your turf, on your streets, they are not their streets, they are everybody's. They are we the people, Cynthia, you moron. Racist. Gang antagonist. This is what the Mexico flag is all about waving out there. They want to bring a cartel-run, corrupt government to California and the United States where ding-dongs like this are in charge. And they're going to run it like a thugocracy with Maxine Waters and Kamala Harris and the aforementioned Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and the whole crew that have been in the buffoon baths.
On your streets and in your city. And peep, when the big gang guns come in, nothing but like quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in, out here calling things out, trying to organize people, trying to do the thing. So don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing if you're not showing up right now.
You're doing the thing. You're not doing the thing. Don't claim no block. This is all cartel-run gang thugocracy. This is Mexico. And when you're waving the Mexico flag, even down there, or especially on the boundaries of the United States of America, this is what you're bringing. This is what that is all about. They're not supporting the homeland. They want to be the 1.3% in charge, and you, the 98.7 serfs that are going to serve and service them.
Trying to like help out and organize. I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone, trying to claim that this is my block. This was not your block. You weren't even here helping out. So whoever's the leadership over there, just fucking get your members in order. Not for nothing.
So here's another politician using the F word. And she's calling them out. If they don't stand up and go after the ICE agents, and she's telling the gangs of Cudahy, just get the effing out. She's saying, if you don't do the job, we're going to get you guys out and we're going to get somebody in here that will. That's my interpretation of what Cynthia Gonzalez, vice mayor of Cudahy, California. This is what California's and the nation is coming to. Especially the assault for the last 40, 50 years. But this was the impetus of the assault of Joe Biden letting in god-awful numbers, 10, 20, 30 million illegals in. Flood the zone. Flood the zone. And that's what they're protesting, is the deportations of people in this country unlawfully and illegally, because that is unflooding the zone. And when you unflood the zone of criminals, people willing to go along with this or advocating for this, look at Buffoon Bass. Go back 30 years, go look at Mike Benz's stuff, go look on X or wherever he's at. He had the connections of Buffoon Bass in Cuba. This stuff has dictatorship, Communist Party, cartel run. In mammoth proportions. And to have a politician in Southern California bold enough to say this, if this doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. Again, this is one of the most incredible stories that we have ever seen. Bill Malhusian, again, he's been the one hot on the story, or one, I believe, that broke it. This is a statement he received from Cudahy spokesman reacting to the video of the city's vice mayor telling gang members to defend their territory from ICE. So the city of Cudahy reported to this. The city of Cudahy is aware of recent comments made by Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez on social media. The comments made by the vice mayor reflect her personal views and do not represent the views of official position of the city of Cudahy. City will not be providing further comment. I asked this because I've asked the city of Moreno Valley. We've had our mayor, Baby Jesus, otherwise known as Ulysses Cabrera, who's been posting all sorts of this immigration this and riot that and protest this, know your rights that. We had Joanne Olivia, the board member, I believe, brought the Churla people in here before I even knew what the hell it was 3 or 4 months ago. Know your rights. This is for the adults. What does that have to do with school children? Immigration status, all that stuff has nothing to do with education. Unless you're educating them on the laws of the United States and the Constitution and what it stands for. But he's been posting that, and I've asked, hey, what's the city's position on this? When he's posting it on social media under Mayor Ulysses Cabrera, we have tons of documentation of these posts. It wasn't just a random deal. His sidekick, new city councilman Erlen Gonzalez Campos, or whatever the hell his name is, has been posting, not as much, but at least he's been doing it under Erlen Gonzalez Campos, not city councilman. Which, if you want to do it under your personal page, I get it. Free political speech, First Amendment, right to redress your government, all that, that's fine. But when you're posting it, as Ulysses Cabrera is, Baby Jesus, under your official title, then when does that become an official policy? At least Cudahy, unlike the city of Moreno Valley, has enough guts to come out and say, no, that isn't our policy. Moreno Valley hasn't done that with Baby Jesus. That is disturbing in of itself, because now the city of Moreno Valley, at least from my perspective and opinion, is now getting into politics by allowing the mayor to post political stuff on using his title. We'll have to dig in a little more deeper into exactly what account or where this was posted on social media. But this was interesting from John Hatami, who I think would have been, not that Nathan Hogman is a bad, but when you're comparing to George Gascon of the LADA, that isn't that. I think my perspective is John Hatami would have been a little tougher than Nathan Hogman, but I'm not dissing Nathan Hogman, even though he is a never Trumper. Nathan Hogman. I don't know what Jonathan Hatami's politics is. But during the campaign, I thought he probably had the best of the contenders, let's say. He was probably the best selection. I think he finished second, but doesn't matter. Second on down is just the first loser. But Hatami, who I still think is a deputy DA, no matter what your political party and no matter where you stand on our current immigration crisis, an elected official should never ask violent criminal street gangs for assistance in controlling federal law enforcement. The 18th Street is a dangerous and violent criminal street gang that is involved in drug trafficking, murder, and other violent activities. I would probably think human trafficking also. Florence 13 is also a dangerous and violent criminal street gang that is involved in assaults, robbery, drug trafficking, and murder. This is not considered peaceful protesting by any means. It is dangerous for everyone. John Hatami is exactly right. And Nathan Hogman should be putting out a post like this. I think our esteemed U.S. Attorney for California, Bill Asaley, is doing a criminal investigation into Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez after learning of these posts that are out there. It's sometimes beyond the pale of what we see out there. I mean, we've had these unusual situations, and we probably had this stuff behind the scenes a lot. But we have never, I don't believe, seen it as blatant. Blatant. Just, we're going to control you. And it's going to be one really heck of a ride, I believe, on this stuff. Because we, the people, are not going to take this noise any longer. I don't think they really realize the sentiment, the vast majority of the people, and the way they're feeling. Additionally, Bill Malusian posts, UCLA hired Gonzalez as their new director of Principal Leadership Institute, describing her as a leader in educational equity and social justice. The LA Times also previously endorsed her as the best pick for the LAUSD school board. There you see the endorsements. Apparently she ran for school board, thank goodness. LAUSD, maybe the biggest school district disaster in the United States. If they ain't number one, they're in the top 3. UCLA, one of our top universities, not only in California, United States, maybe even the world. Used to be, you were not a dumbass no matter what and got into UCLA or Stanford or Harvard or Chicago University. Now you've got the likes of PhD Cynthia Gonzalez, who is now UCLA's hiring as their principal for the Principal Leadership Institute, describing her as a leader in educational equity and social justice. No wonder less than 4 in 10 kids in the state of California are at grade level. I think it's 1 in 4 at LAUSD. This stuff is absolutely 1,000% beyond the pale. Oh, you didn't think it could get better? Let's look at the bio of Mayor Cynthia as listed on the Cudahy City website. Cynthia Gonzalez, education doctorate. There lists her phone number, well, extension. Appointed committees, Los Angeles County City selection. She grew up in Southeast Huntington Park, graduated from Bell High School. She's a daughter of immigrant parents who taught her the value of hard work. She lived in Cudahy for 12 years, where she's raising two beautiful and strong daughters. She recently received her Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of California at Santa Barbara. That's another school. You weren't a dumbass if you got into the UCSB. She earned 2 master's degrees in education from the University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA, another institution that used to be, you weren't a complete gang thug, idiot. This woman's IQ is probably less than the 68 degrees you keep your home at the thermostat in the wintertime. And her educational leadership doctorate from UCLA's ELP program. In addition to her 2 degrees, she also has earned her administrative credentials from UCLA and UC Berkeley. You wonder why the school system is screwed up? She also serves as Legislative Action Committee Chair for the Association of California School Administrators and is a member of Associated Administrators of Los Angeles. She has served LAUSD since 2002 as a capacity of classroom teacher, titled bilingual coordinator, school principal in the communities of Southeast LA, South Central LA, Florence, Firestone, Boyle Heights. She's currently works as a director of pilot schools and support and innovation, supporting 4D pilot schools in LAUSD. Now, I guess she hasn't screwed up the LA along with the racist Cecily Meyer Cruz, the head of the union, and all that stuff down there. The Superintendent Carvello, which is a chump. Oh, we can't check on the welfare of our students. We're not going to let the ICE agents in. What, 1 out of 4 kids are at grade level in LAUSD? They've lost almost half their students in 10 years. Under the tutelage of Cynthia Gonzalez and her crew. Not only should the people of Cudahy be dumping this broad off their council vice mayor, the riot in the street should be the firing of people like Cynthia Gonzalez as school teachers, administrators, principals, because that's why the California education system is in the frickin' toilet. Rube, crime syndicate, pissant Tony Thurman, superintendent of public instruction, please get out there and campaign wholeheartedly for Sonia Shaw, the Chino Valley School Board member who stuck up for our girls, stuck up for parental rights, and is now running for state superintendent of public schools. Cynthia Gonzalez should be the poster child of almost everything that's wrong. Not only in our government in California, but in our schools. And just about everything else. And this is what, with the help of Donald J., turning this stuff around, we may have a chance. Possibly. And we have a much better chance than we have before. I don't want to be a total Debbie Downer on all this stuff. But we shall see. It will be a good ride. We'll deal with the chick, maybe. How the chick handcuffed in the back of an LA cop car, stole the cop car, led him on a pursuit, and then escaped on foot.
30 seconds, Roy.
I can't believe that one. We'll catch that story and some more when we come back, as Sean said. We join the Mighty Met KMAT here in a few seconds. Bizarre day. You gotta love Trump. Told him, don't
All
let
right, here we go. 10 seconds.
either of them around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed of those of the program producer are not endorsed by this station. Expressed are not necessarily those.
There's the funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 in the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience and Evil FB Network, Rumble, X, Roy Bleckert on the YouTube channel. Check out all that good stuff. Donald J. Trump getting ready to board the helicopter. It's a little bit miffed at both Israel and Iran, I, over not abiding by the ceasefire. And he said, you know what, I'm pissed. I'm effing upset at both of them. Do you understand? As he walked off from the reporter's question and boarded the helicopter, as only Donald J. can. Like I said, at the beginning, and those of you who want to check it out, go to IE Newswire and the aforementioned platforms and check us out. We have never had a president until 45 and 47 that was as candid, as accessible, told you exactly the way it is, means what he says, and says what he means. No matter what, you can hate Trump politics 111%. You can love him 100 same way 111%. But you got to respect the dude. There's no holes barred. There's no filters. And this is one of my contentions. People say, oh, we want our politicians, everybody to be honest in this and trustworthy. We want them to tell us exactly as it is. Well, here you got it. There should be zero complaints. This is what you've asked for. Now you got it. That's why we love El Presidente, Donald J. And that's why I say one of the very few politicians, I can almost count them on less than one hand. When I go to sleep at night, I'm not worried about them hosing me under the workbench, doing something exactly what they just said 2 hours earlier, or selling us out to some dictator or anything else. The other one is the vice mayor of Cudahy, which is down in the South Bay of LA, who basically, in my opinion, was saying the 18th Street and 13th Street gangs down there should be icing ICE. They should be wiping them out. And that means the way the signal she was using, meaning shoot them, kill them. You're not defending your territory. Tell me if that doesn't mean that in gangese. When you come on their turf and you're not supposed to, I don't care if that's the 16th Street gang, the drug cartels in Mexico, Idi Amin, whatever. Gaddafi, Stalin, Castro, you name it. That's what that means. And they say you don't come on our turf. If you do, they will cut your freaking head off. They will shoot you, cut your head off, and lay you in the middle of the public square. Say, then, does the next person want to try this? And she's a doctorate school teacher, doctorate from UCLA, went to UC Santa Barbara, UC Berkeley. Those schools used to be, you could not be as, you used to have to be in the top of the cream of the crop in intellect, ability to get into those schools. Not a racist thug dictator, gang influencer like Cynthia Gonzalez. That's another story that's almost freaking unbelievable. The one that might even top them all off, and we ran it on the intro, in Hollywood Hills, some chick's having trouble with her boyfriend. You know, he's claiming she's messing up his car or whatever. So the cops eventually put her in cuffs, put her in the back of the car. She winds up stealing the cop car. They run a pursuit. She gets out of the cop car and evades them. I kid you not. Here's Gigi from Fox 11 with this. As good as the other stories were, this one maybe even more bizarre and takes the cake. Here we go.
Us live from Hollywood with all the details. Hi there, Gigi.
Good morning, everyone. I just had a really long talk with the owner of the Porsche that was vandalized, and he basically told me the whole story. He doesn't want to go on camera because he says he's simply too embarrassed that a girl that he knew, he met her last week, ended up doing all of this. And
let's deal with that first. What's this about I'm too embarrassed? Nobody wants to go on camera anymore, say anything or that. Or what's the vandalize? What? Did she write spray paint on his Porsche? He was a rat fank, or he was cheating on Eloise and not blanking me, or whatever. What was the deal here? Why wouldn't you want to show what happened? But again, dude, you should have been grabbing the mic out of Gigi's hand, telling the cameraman, hey, look at this.
And let me show you what all of this is. Take a look at that man's Porsche SUV. The woman, he says, went, in his words, crazy on him when he wouldn't buy.
I believe it was probably the dude said bat S crazy. Just a guess. You notice Gigi maybe somebody probably wrote that, but she edited it out on the fly. Who knows? But you could tell there was a slight, when you see that slight hesitation where she did, that wasn't exactly what was written. That was like the pregnant person and the woman over there in Britain or whatever corrected it to pregnant woman. But anyway, here we go.
Fire alcohol, and she took out a knife with a pointed end and began smashing his windshield. She also flattened 2 of his tires. Police were called by a nearby security guard. They arrived, they took her into custody, handcuffed her, and put her in the back of a patrol car.
Well, at least we're getting to, at least they're showing it. He should have said, yeah. The bee went bat as crazy Because I wouldn't buy her booze. No, you have an obligation as a man to be broadcasting this broad, in my view, all over everywhere, TV, internet, as a warning to any other dude that runs across this chick. I mean, I could even understand it, if he was out, again, boinking Eloise or something, and, okay, she loses it and goes crazy. Because you're not buying me booze? Holy cow.
While they continued their investigation with the man, he says, when all of a sudden he and the two officers watched as the patrol car sped off. The two police officers chasing right behind it on foot. But she drove away too fast, and the search was on for her and the missing LAPD black and white car. It was found less than half a mile away from here.
So she's in the back of the police car, handcuffed, gets to the front seat. Well, they usually most of the cops leave the car running with the keys obviously in it or whatever, which I think is a bad policy, but whatever. How in the hell does she get handcuffed from the back of the car to the front of the car to drive off? Not a good look for LAPD.
It was dumped in the Hollywood Hills. Nothing was taken, and she didn't crash the car. Thankfully, putting it out of commission, it is still in commission. But she took off, and even though officers searched on the ground and from the air for her, they did not find her. And keep in mind that she was in handcuffs all of this time. They believe she slipped the cuffs from back to front while she was in the back of that police car, and then used a small window that's in the partition that divides the back of the patrol car from the front. Through that window, she's a petite thing. She went through there, and that's how she...
So you're cuffed. What is this chick? The ultimate contortionist or something? I mean, if you're cuffed with your hands behind your back, how did she get her legs up over that or over the top of her head or something to get her hands forward? I mean, unless she backed around, had some sort of mirror or something to look, I don't know. I don't know if they've still found this chick, but let's see what else Gigi is reporting.
Stole the car. Now, police do believe that they know who she is.
No kidding. Didn't the boyfriend know? I'm sure. What? Apparently, they'd been going out for at least a week or so. Or maybe he's not telling the complete truth. Did he pick her up from Figueroa Street or something? They believe they know who she is? This story's getting, again, between Trump, which was a thumbs up, gang-loving Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez, which is a thumbs down. But again, this story may take the cake on the whole darn thing today.
As for the victim of all of this, he's facing thousands and thousands of dollars in damage, and his heart is hurt. How could someone he met and thought was a nice girl do this to him? He seems to be a really nice guy.
Oh, man. This dude had to know. Unless he had just picked her up, like I said, from Figueroa Street or something. She's pulling it. If she's really that upset because he didn't buy her a salted margarita or something, again, it doesn't say how long, if they were together a long time, and again, if she caught him with Eloise or something, or whomever, and she went psycho, that's understandable. I mean, that wouldn't be the first time that's happened. But I can kind of get it. If she's a good enough contortionist or whatever to pull that maneuver off, and Gigi said she was a petite little thing. Just imagine what she might be like in the boudoir. Just saying. So, I mean, it could probably get the attraction part of this whole thing. And probably why he fell hard for this chick. But vaya caramba. Man, that's all around. Well, a lot of this stuff, there needs to be a lot more blanks filled in first. Just on this whole, how long were they together? In the whole thing. But then, after the alleged vandal deal, how do you pull that one off? And they can't find her? Man, you talk about Keystone Cops Barney 5. Again, I'm not trying to diss on the cops, but LAPD, this doesn't look good for you guys at all. We kind of expect better out of you dudes. Just saying. But we shall see. It'll be one of those curiouser and curiouser moments. The real news is better than any, especially lately, better than any TV show, internet, reality TV. Nobody could come up with this stuff. You could not make Babylon Bee wouldn't come up with a story like this one. And they come up with some darn good ones at times. But this would be on the likes of unflippin' believable on all kinds of fronts. Whew. I never get to all the other stuff that I always have lined up here. Do want to touch into, because we'll get into it later this week. Not tomorrow, Thursday. County of Riverside passed a $10 billion budget today. And I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with Jeff Van Wagelen, the CEO, and the board who eventually voted for this 5-0. You are cutting the service level of Sheriff Chad Bianco and the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Despite record budget, $10 billion, first double-digit billion with a B budget, and $0 for opening up the 1,200 beds in the Indio jail, where we all know Prop 36 is coming. The people have spoke, 70%, we the people. No more stupidity. There's no reason those 1,200 beds, there's no reason for 7 straight years those brand new beds should sit empty. When you know, where are the crooks? We're going to get to that a little bit here in the local report. Where are you going to put them if the cops arrest them, the DA prosecutes them, the courts put them, sentence them to jail, and we're sitting there with 1,200 brand new beds empty, and we've got to release them. No more excuses. Sheriff Chad, the Sharp, said, we can fund it, we can staff it, we're ready to go, appropriate the money and it'll be done. Yet here we are. Get to some of those local stories as we close out today. Injuries reported after big rig and minivan collide on the 215 freeway in Menifee. Hema police, when no one's watching, our drone says otherwise. Illegal fireworks are a $1,000 mistake. You're going to have the drones up. Beware. Corona cops, do not leave your kids unattended in a car. It's becoming, especially, it's becoming summertime. It's going to be hot. Along with that, the pets. Had an incident there in Corona. The Riverside firefighter injured when car strikes him. Fire engine during that brush fire. That was there by the Day Street, right there by the Moval Riverside line. We ran that story yesterday. That was the fireman that was injured. Fire in the area of 12th and Michigan. They're in Beaumont or Banning. I don't remember which that is. Rancho C, this is the one. Retail theft. This is why you got to have bed space. Dude walks into the Target store, changes his clothes, puts on the new clothes from Target, attempts to walk out or walked out. Now he's being charged with theft. You don't have jail space to put them in. It's all for naught, just like we've been doing. 36 will be totally ineffective. Purdue cops grabbed a ton of illegal fireworks. So it seems like the cops are really cracking down on this year. San Bernardino County firefighters kick off the pontoons out there. Amphibious paramedic units, a good job there. New toys to play with. Deputies were called to the scene after receiving reports of a man with a gun. This was in Chino Hills. Crowd scattered from the Big League of Dreams after there was a report of a man with a gun. A lot of going on this weekend all across the board. I know Riverside County, I think this Sunday at all the animal shelters. This is in Paris from all this month. Free chipping and vaccinations for your pets. So if they do run off, they will most likely be able to find them. So take advantage of that. Driver was killed crashing into a fire truck on the 10 freeway in Claremont. Police are searching for a woman in handcuffs. We did that. Who stole the patrol vehicle. That's mind-boggling. Woman shot and killed in San Bernardino County. Of that suspect in custody. DUI checkpoint in Hemet. This is it. This is a bizarre story. Banning police. Caught this. Yes. This is one, the gang mailboxes? This is it. Sitting in a shopping cart. Banning police ran this down. Thanks to the banning officer being in the area who was able to stop this from traveling down the old dirt road like a modern Pony Express. Sure, the citizens of Eureka Street have probably got a new mailbox by now, but this story is truly great that we caught this guy. Man, oh man. Can you believe this? We can imagine what the guy was who had this. As they say, urban outdoorsman. They're being very kind. $6 million more in payment for Purdue. Cool cops in the city of Corona. Free popsicles are given out. So save women's sports. Yesterday we didn't do it. 53 years of Title IX, no boys and girls sports. And we're going that rat rod of the day. We love the rat rods of that. In custody death in Riverside. Riverside police are reporting 3-year prison time for Bloomington carjacking and armed robbery. We did that, the amphibious deal. Eastville woman is charged, alleged with stealing $1.7 million in federal funds. More drones from the city of Riverside saying just don't do it. Upside down patrol for San Jacinto cops. And of course, Trump rules. Nothing can be further from the truth. That'll do it for today, as we usually say at this time. Mandatory, you're back here 23 hours wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid.
All right, Roy. Can you send me a link to that thing where they're cutting the sheriff's department budget by chance?
Yeah, I can send you let me see, I covered it yesterday, didn't I? A little bit. I'm going to cover it later on, probably. Well, you won't be here Thursday if you listen in, but it's a little bit complicated. They're cutting the budget. Sheriff Chad said he needs 70 more million to maintain service levels. They're not funding it. They're saying, well, we possibly can do it. We're going to try to do it the rest of the year as we get our budget updates. But they had to pass an emergency $10 million just to cover the salary increases from the last year. So they're bullshitting. They're unless a miracle happens, they're not going to have the money to do it. They're already running in the red from last year's budget. And they're 70 million short on their proposed budget, and they're going on they're trying to BS this is what they're trying to do. But the facts are they're 70 million short just to keep the same staffing levels we've had at this last fiscal year, which will be done in a couple of days.
Wow.
I'll send you some stuff on it.
All right. Sounds good.
You got it.
Bye now.